Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all of you present here today at Architect 2025, Architects Work and Trade Exhibition, as we kick off the public discussion forum on the theme of this year's exhibition, Polymathic Excellence, Crafting Narratives, Designing Tomorrows. It is an honor to have you all here today at this forum, where we will delve into some pressing and inspiring topics in the field of architecture and design today. Without further ado, it is my greatest pleasure to introduce the first speaker of the afternoon, Architect Sumudu Athukorala. Sumudu Athukorala is a chartered architect who holds a BSc and a master's degree in architecture from the University of Moratuwa. In 2022, he was honored with the Young Architect of the Year award. After working with MICDA from 2006 to 2018, he started his architectural practice. Being a passionate writer on architecture and art, he is the serving editor of the Vastu Architectural Journal. Sumudu is also an alumnus of the Asian Film Academy, Busan, South Korea. Sumudu has directed more than 10 short films and garnered numerous local awards and recognition at international film festivals. His short film, Unidentified Video File, was selected for the Court at the Cannes Film Festival in 2016. He won the Best Short Film of the Year award for Hole in the Wall and the Human Rights Award for Very Short Film About Killing at the Agenda 14 Short Film Festival. In 2023, the Museum of Modern and Contemporary Arts, Sri Lanka, commissioned Sumudu to create a documentary film titled, Is This an Architectural Documentary? So please join me in welcoming Architect Sumudu Athukorala on stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you SLIA and Architect Shobha for giving me this opportunity to have a discussion or a talk on this public forum today. So the topic that I have taken for today's the forum is a bit of a controversial topic. My presentation go as Architect is wrong. I am an architect. Being an architect, that architect is saying that he is wrong is a bit awkward. But I will try to explain why I say architect is wrong. So I have separated, chaptered my presentation into 3 parts, very simple 3 chapters. So actually that I have taken my title for the presentation by this very interesting quote by very famous architect Le Corbusier. So he says, life is right and architect is wrong. So that's how I have taken a part of that quote, which is architect is wrong. So before we start, I would like to take you through a very, very short film that I have directed. It's called a short film about killing. I don't know how you're going to experience it because of the lighting level and the sound and the noise. But I would like to start with this presentation with this short film I did a few years ago. Again, I will talk a little bit about the short film. I did this short film with, actually I have noted that there are also, I did this short film with a very, very minimum low budget. Actually, it costed me only 1 cigarette. So let's try to watch that, and then I will explain why I wanted to start with this short film.
මට කලවරයිනේ බං. අලාම ඉදිරි එළියක්වත් නැහැ වෙන දෙයක් නෑ.
කොහේ ඉන්නද බං? අපි ඔක්කොම මරනවානේ.
ඔබ දන්නවද? ඉස්සර කාලේ ඊජිප්තුවේ රජුරුව මරුණා. රජුරුවන්ට ආවතේප කරන උන් ටිකත් මරාලු.
ඒ මොකටද බං ඒ?
රජුරුව ගිය ලෝකෙට ගිහින් එළවෙත් ගිහින් රජුරුවන්ට ආවතේප කරන්න.
ඒක මිසා ඒ උත්තම ටික එළෝ ගිහින් කොහොමද බං ඔය වැඩ ටික තනියෙන් කරගන්නේ? මචං ඔය ටත්මාල හැදුවට පස්සේ ඒක හදපුන්ගේ අත් දෙක කැපුවා කියන්නේ නැත්තද බං?
කක් ඇට දෙක
නෑ බං අත් දෙක. අපේ ගෑණි දවසක් කිව්වා.
යකෝ උඹේ ගෑණි දන්න දේවල්.
ඌට ආයේ වගේ දෙයක් හදන්න බැරි වෙන්නලු බං ඒ. ඔය සීගිරි කාශ්‍යප ලාල්ලාගේ චිත්‍ර හදපු මාස්ටර්ගේ ඇස් වලට ලෝදිය දැම්මලු බං අන්ධ වෙන්න. ඒ වගේ චිත්‍ර අඳින්න බැරි වෙන්න. ඌට නම් එහෙම කරලත් මදි. දහස් ගාණක් යන එන ඔය වගේ තැන්වල හෙළුබලි චිත්‍ර ඇඳ.
එහෙනම් මචං අපිට චොට් එක හෙට අනිද්දාම හම්බ වෙයිනේ.
ඒ මොකටද බං ඒ? අපි මොනවා කළාට?
අයියකෝ අපි දෙන ගේම් මදිද? මේ ලිවන්න කලින් මෝ ඉවරයක් කරලා යමු යන්න. නැත්තම් කේස් ඈ.
ඉතින් කොහොමද බං ඉලක්ක ගන්න මේ තිත්ත කළුවරේ? බුලට් 3යි නේ තියෙනවා කියේ.
මට ආව පට්ට අයිඩියා එකක්. ඔන්න ඔයගගේ කැමරාව තියනව නේද? බෝගේ ෆ්ලෑෂර් එක ගාලා ෆොටෝ ගනින් හොඳට. මං ඔළුව කුඩු වෙන්න තියන්නම් ඔයගගේ.
අම්මට. ඒ බං ඕක ඔළුවට ආවේ නැත්තේ මෙච්චර වෙලා. එළද වරා. හිටපන් බලන්න. ඔන්න ගැව්වා නම්
හරි ගහන්. හරි ගහන් ආයේ. ගහන්.
Okay, I'm not sure whether you have understood the story or the film. Because of the condition, the atmosphere is not suitable to watch a film, but still I had to start with that. Anyway, what I wanted to do was, so when you work as a filmmaker, there are certain restrictions that you have to work, and you can't always find the budget or the amount of money that you want to make a short film when you want to tell a story. But there are things that you can experiment with the medium of filmmaking, where you can work with your friends, work with a very basic camera equipment, and the story itself can be a very minimal story where you can shoot it with a very minimum budget. So the challenge was, the idea was whether we can apply the same scenarios into architecture. When you are designing a building, whether you can do it with a basic material, with minimum budget, and a very low cost architectural design. So that's why I wanted to start with the short film, which I did costing only 1 cigarette. So before I will take you through 3 projects that I have done with a very basic low budget, but before that I will give you a basic introduction to how I have gained inspiration and influence into my architecture practice. So of course, living in a country in a tropics, that you always have the influence of tropical modernism. I think you all have heard about the idea of tropical modernism. So these are few buildings done by architect Jeffrey Bawa. So he is the master of tropical modernism. We all know that. He's a genius, and he explored this idea of gaining ideas from the Europe and adapting those into Sri Lankan situation where we can build architecture with which is very adaptable to our part of the world. And at the same time, there was another architect called Minette de Silva. I think some of you may have heard about Minette de Silva. And she came up with this idea, the regional modernism, that we can't adapt the ideas from the modern movement directly, that we need to regionalize it. So these are few pictures that I have captured in Minette buildings. So she experimented with materials, the plan and architectural details, which is more suitable to Sri Lankan condition. In this chapter, I will talk about my architectural practice. I always believe journey is the reward. That's where you gain experience and exposure to form and shape your own architectural practice. So I used to work with architect Channa Daswatta and architect Murad Ismail for a very long time at MICD Associates, where I gained so much of experience, so much of education and knowledge. So this is one picture I have taken, someone has taken of me with Channa during one of the site visits. And these are the projects that, working in a firm like that, these are the projects that we had to work with almost all the time. They, as a very well established firm, they had bigger projects. I will take you through some of the projects that we worked. So this is a boutique resort hotel in Sigiriya, which I worked as the project architect, and where I gained so much of experience and so much of influence for my own architectural career. So this is another image from the same project. So this is another project in Bentota, which is called Cinnamon Bay. Again, in this project also I was the project architect. This was a 200-room hotel, which is a fairly a bigger project. So this is another picture from the same project. And then after working with MICD for a long time, I started my own architectural journey. And when I started my own practice also, I kind of got the similar projects like restaurants, boutique hotels, somewhat similar projects. I will quickly take you through some of the projects that I have done. So this is a restaurant refurbishment I did in Colombo. This is another picture of the same project. This is a restaurant I did in Alla. This is another cocktail bar that we are working in Colombo right now. The construction is still going on, but they will open it soon. But I am not that keen on talking to you about these celebrated projects. I think the challenge is how to work with minimum budgets and very restricted conditions. So I don't want to talk too much about those projects, but I will take you through a few projects that I have done with totally different experience. This is a very small single-story house I did in Ramukkana for one of my friends, and the challenge was we didn't have enough money. My client didn't have enough the budget, but he could collect some old materials where we can use for the construction of this project. The very simple plan, two bedrooms and pantry and a living room with a small toilet. So this was the plan, very, very simple, very basic plan with a simple gable roof. And we constructed this house within 5 million budget. That was, I think, 2022, 2023. So I'll show you some of the pictures of the house. And this is the entrance, and that is the sitting area, and you can see these all doors which my friend found traveling around Kandy and Rambukkana, that area, and he found this very, very beautiful all doors where we can use for the construction of this house. And this is the pantry, and again the picture of the living area. And this is their living area. And if you look at the roof, we did a basic asbestos roof with the crisscross rafter system, which still looks very beautiful because it's, even though it's a low cost attempt, still looks very beautiful with the rafter system in the roof. And these are the doors and windows that we used. So we used these all door sashes as the windows of the living area. These are few more pictures of the same house. Very simple, minimal house with very basic limited furniture and some plants inside. This is another interesting project I did in Kandy, again for one of my friends, and he came to me to build this house. He had the land, but he didn't have money. I asked him, what is the budget you have? And he said he has only 1 million rupees to build the house. I told him, no, we can't build a house in 1 million rupees. But anyway, we started the project, and he said that he can find the local materials like brick, timber from their village, where he can collect for a very basic minimum cost. So this is an initial sketch I did for that house, and this is the plan. Again, similar to the previous one, we have 2 bedrooms, simple toilet in between, and a living and a pantry in front. And the shape of the land also was bit unique shape with a kind of a triangular shape. So these are the elevations of the house. And this is a picture taken from the distance. This is how you would see the roof of the house. This is the entrance of the house, and as you can see, the house looks very rustic, and we used so much of raw materials, and he found this special brick around their village for a very low cost. And he got the mason from the village itself, and the carpenter also from the nearby village, where they came and worked for this to build this small house. And the client was very open to do experiments with the plan and the look of the house. Again, very, very basic rustic looking house with minimal furniture and little bit of artifacts that he collected over the years. Especially he wanted this attic space, for like a small attic area for his house, but even within a limited budget, we managed to build this wooden attic floor where he wanted to sit and read and write, with a beautiful view of the nearby paddy fields. This is another house, but this is in Colombo. Again, going back to the previous the project, we completed the house within 3 million rupees. I also couldn't believe when he said that he only spent 3 million rupees to build that house, but somehow that was the amount that he spent to build that house. This is a house in Palavatta, closer to Colombo. Again, we had to work with a very restricted budget. It was a two-story house with my client wanted 4 bedrooms, And you can see on the ground floor we have a 1 bedroom and a living, dining and a pantry. On the top floor we have 3 bedrooms. Again, we used brick and very simple roof, and cement was used as the floor finish and for some of the walls. This is one of my favorite photographs of the project, where the staircase, and you can see we didn't plaster the slab, and we kept it as rustic as possible to minimize the cost, and also to give a different look and feel to the house. These are some of the photographs of the house. You can see that we have used brick and timber and ordinary stone for the floor. So that's about the 3 projects that I wanted to talk to you. And not only architecture, we as architects, sometimes we have to work on other things also. So I will show you a like few clips of a documentary film that we did on architect Minette De Silva. In 2022, by Modern and Contemporary Art Museum in Sri Lanka commissioned us, myself, architect Sumeda Kalagama and artist Irushi Tennakon, to do a documentary film on architect Minette De Silva. So this is the poster of the film. And I will try to show you a small clip of the
second detailed section further explored her vision, revealing her quirky and comic-like imaginings of what life would be like in the spaces she created. Finally, the artists situated De Silva's architecture within the larger context of the newly independent nation.
When we gained independence, you find that most of our leaders were very anglicized. So there was no particular move to create an architecture that was very different from what the colonials were already building. So you begin to see that the state began to make statements, sort of visual statements about what the future of architecture in the country should be.
She told me, actually, you should go back 400 years, right? Look at the 14th century buildings and then come forward. Forget the colonial period. Come forward and then do contemporary work related to what you observed in the 14th century and earlier. Which I thought was very, very important, because we are now looking at a spirit of a period, a spirit of architecture rather than copying architecture. You know, we were looking that there was something deeper in architecture, which was there, which we lost, and now we are trying to learn again.
How does Minette then, of course, contribute to Sri Lanka's architectural heritage is when she begins to do her own practice. She definitely holds on to the ideals of modernism. But from the very beginning, you can begin to see that she's thinking of modernism as something that needs to relate to the local situation, the local culture, the local atmosphere, the local climate, and all of that. And that made a difference to the way modern architecture began to be practiced in Sri Lanka through Minette's practice.
Yeah, that was the documentary film that we worked. Actually, we had to do the documentary film on architect Minette De Silva and one project she did in Kandy called Watapulu Housing Scheme. That was a very, very interesting project. We had so much fun doing this project, and we made it a animated documentary film. I think this is the first animated documentary film in Sri Lanka, and we went and interviewed almost all the people who knew Minette de Silva, and then tried to bring all these ideas into the film. This is a one hour long film. We can't watch it today, but we will be screening this in the future in some of the places. Then I invite you to come and watch it. And when I was working on the same project, same documentary film about Minette de Silva, there was a very interesting opportunity I got to work on the card game designed by the Bauhaus University in Germany. There was this architect, my friend, architect Dilmini Pereira. She is a lecturer in that university. So she reached out to me and asked whether I can help to design this card game. So she came up with the idea, and she came with the questions, and I did the graphics and the caricatures for the card game. So I'll show you some of the clips from the card game. So we had very basic question and answers with pictures. I was working on the Minette film, then it was easy for me to work on this project also, because we were researching on Minette de Silva anyway, so it was easy for us to work on this project. And this is the QR code for the card game. If you scan this using your mobile phone, you can go into the card game and you can play. There are 20 questions about Minette de Silva. If you want to know more about Minette de Silva, this is freely available online. You can scan this QR code and maybe you can play. Maybe you can save it, play later, or you can during the break you can enjoy the game. That's pretty much it. This is the presentation that I wanted to present to you today. So thank you very much for listening, and hope you enjoyed my talk, and please try to play the game. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Architect Sumudu Athukorala, for that thought-provoking speech, especially considering your own perspective on architecture through your lens as a filmmaker. We now open the floor for any questions. So if you have any questions for Architect Sumudu Athukorala, please raise your hand. Seeing that there aren't any questions, let's give another round of applause for Architect Sumudu Athukorala.